So we obviously like talking about food, and you haven't. I notice you don't eat much. When you go back home, what's the favourite dish that your mum cooks?
Favourite dish is mac and cheese, macaroni cheese, but that's not my healthy dish.
Oh my god,
that's
I love mac and cheese.
Me too.
Like,
that's my favourite since being a kid.
So does she do any alternative with that? Like, have you?
She won't
have
tell
you had
me
the Gordon
how she does
Ramsay?
it.
Have you had the Gordon Ramsay? You've been to Singapore, or is it Bread? I think that's Ramsay's restaurant.
Right,
and
not
they do a
actually.
mac and cheese there, and it's a short rib mac and cheese.
Oh, I'm going.
I just think about it and it makes me hungry. So that's one of my. That I love mac and cheese too. There's nothing wrong.
That's awesome,
with
is
that.
it? If you go to the States, they do it in every single restaurant. They do it everywhere.
Yeah,
it's very
I know.
addictive.
Yeah, and that's and you keep wanting to eat it.
Yeah.
So, do you want to drink by any chance?
I'm good.
So, is it when you travel? You mentioned earlier about how hard it is to keep in track with keeping healthy.
Yep.
Because it is, especially when you go to an airport and you're sitting waiting, and there's all these. You get different time. So it is quite difficult. Is there something that you particularly like eating when you're trying to keep a health regime as well?
I find it much easier to eat healthy when I come to Australia. When I race in America or England, it's the takeaway foods, or it's much harder to get healthy food when you're on the run, on the move.
Yeah.
Favourite food, if I go back to my mum, obviously the mac and cheese is my favourite dish, but she cooks me generally most days there when I'm training and healthy, like salmon or fish and vegetables and all that type of stuff. She makes it taste good, so eating my greens is easier when my mum's around.
Yeah, because she's cooking them as well. There'll be no dessert. So do you find that you've been away a lot of I'm assuming, your childhood compared to most people? Where you have to actually, do you find you had to trust certain people, or did your parents think it was okay that there were people in the motorsporting industry that would be looking after you, or it was just, I can look after this?
From karting, I was always with my dad. Formula Ford, parents were there most of the time, but then when I went overseas, it was kind of going out on my own and packing my bag and leaving. So 2007, I left the UK from being there full time. Although I raced in Asia and stuff, I was always going back home. Not living with my parents then, but I lived in Silverstone. But when I left in 2007, I never actually went back to the UK after that. Lived in America and Australia and spent a lot of time in Asia. You're always with a different group of people, different teams and different personnel. So, it was... You sort of grew up pretty quick then. Learned how to wash my own clothes and make my own mac and cheese and stuff like that.
I'm assuming you've met some interesting people in your time, whether it be a driver or a team owner or something like that. Who has been the most interesting person that you've met in the...
I think yourself, JP.
Is there someone that where you've met, you thought, geez, that person actually has had some impact on the way that you outlook, or the way that you see life?
I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of successful and very interesting people. I think much more than if I just stayed in England and I'd just be in a small circle. And most people, working class life, just probably circulate with the same 20 people. But because I'm always travelling, different teams, different sponsors, coaching successful businessmen and kids and their families and a few different girlfriends along the way. So I think what I've tried to do is, I couldn't really pinpoint any one person in particular, but to evolve and become the person I have. And I'm definitely not the person I want to be yet, but I've just learned a little bit from all the successful people and the nice people and honest, trying to take certain traits from a certain, people that I've met along the way to try and shape who I want to become. It's definitely helped.
We that's soft because you didn't give me a name, but I noticed you raced in and I'm going to bring up a name. So you raced in Jackie Chan's race team.
Yes.
I'm just guessing you didn't meet Jackie Chan, but
no, he came to the race I wasn't there for. But it was good. It was like the people around me had met him, and it was good to have that association. Yeah, we were quite successful with that team. They went on to win Le Mans. Actually, the one I had a choice to drive with them or drive with a different team, a French team. At that moment, I chose the French team, and we had a DNF, and Jackie Chan DC Racing went on to win the race. So that
my God,
that was one of those.
so
That was the wrong path to take.
That's your elusive unicorn that you still will be going for. I mean, I see it in motorsport where there's lots of, it is a money sport, and team owners, there's some very interesting cats as team owners.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's really interesting just seeing how they are. And your view of it is you learn something from each and every one. It's exactly how I feel. What is it that you think is a crucial part about being successful? What do you think the number one trait is?
I think it's like the Nike quote, just do it. The successful people, whether it's racing, business or whatever I see, are the people who they might not be the smartest, they might not be the most talented, but they're the people who get off their butts and do it. They just do it, and if they're not successful, they don't give up. They just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and you definitely... Someone said to me when I was a kid, if I can't 100% remember the saying, but if you aim for the stars, you'll reach the top of the hills, something like that. So if you aim high, you're going to end up...
If you aim for the stars, you'll reach the sky?
Something like that. That's the one. But what it meant...
I like doing, if you aim for the stars, you'll reach the hill. Well, the fucking hills. Car can take me to the hill. But yeah, okay, something fucking high. But anyway...
Have goals, aim high, and you're going to get somewhere close to running.
Yeah, that's so true. I 100% agree with that. And there is a big part about just doing it. And I get in trouble, probably with the digital team, for just fucking do it. And then worry about how we're going to formulate that afterwards.
Yeah, you've just got to do these things and chase your goals. And if you have a big goal, you have to set the baby steps along the way to reach the goal. You just got to get out there and get it going and start and take a risk.
Yeah, 100. Take a risk, and I agree with that totally.